I should have been home that night. That's what she thought anyway. If it weren't for the months of suspicion gnawing at me, maybe I would have been. Maybe I'd be sitting there on the couch, oblivious to everything, waiting for her to come back from her work dinner, wearing that easy, secretive smile she always put on when she was hiding something. But I wasn't home. I was standing in the back of an upscale restaurant, watching my wife celebrate her promotion with her boss. I shouldn't have been surprised. The late nights, the unexplained texts, the way she seemed distant, like her mind was somewhere else even when she sat beside me. I'd felt it building, this creeping distance between us, but seeing it with my own eyes was a whole different kind of pain. She laughed at something her boss said, tilting her head back just like she used to do with me, that same tilt that once made me feel like the luckiest man alive. His hand lingered on the small of her back as he leaned in, whispering something in her ear. She didn't flinch, didn't pull away. She had no clue I was standing there watching. That's when it hit me. She thought I was still the clueless husband, the man who never asked too many questions, who never pushed too hard. The man she thought she could lie to without consequences. She was wrong. She raised her champagne glass, smiling at him like he was the only man in the room. And I stood up. The entire restaurant went silent. And with one sentence, I turned her celebration into her worst nightmare. But let's rewind for a moment. This didn't happen overnight. For months, I sensed something shifting between us. First, I convinced myself it was just stress. Work had been overwhelming for her. New projects, new responsibilities. She was tired, distracted. That's what I told myself. Then came the little things. She started dressing differently for work. More carefully, more deliberately. Buying new perfume, new lingerie. And before you think I'm just some paranoid husband who can't handle his wife looking good, trust me, that wasn't it. It was the change itself, the way she stopped caring what I thought. The way she put in effort for someone else. Then the late nights began. At first maybe once or twice a month. Then more often. Always some urgent meeting or deadline that forced her to stay late, sometimes past midnight. But she was careful. Careful not to change the routine too much. She still kissed me goodnight. Still asked about my day. But those words, they felt hollow. Like she was reading lines written for a role she no longer believed in. I started paying closer attention. She always kept her phone face down now, never letting me see it. Suddenly it had a password, one she never needed before. I noticed her stepping outside to take calls. Her voice softer, more intimate than I'd ever heard. I didn't confront her right away. Not because I was scared, but because I needed proof. So I watched. That's how I ended up in that restaurant, standing there in the shadows with my best friend Mark beside me. Not as backup, but as my anchor, someone to keep me from doing something I'd regret. I sat there for what felt like hours watching. Watching how she leaned toward him. How her fingers brushed his when she reached for her drink. How she laughed. Genuinely, effortlessly. A kind of laughter I hadn't heard from her in a long time. And then the final confirmation. Her hand rested on his knee under the table. I didn't need anything else. I stood up, chair scraping loudly on the floor. Conversations stopped. Heads turned. And I said it loud enough for everyone to hear. Congratulations, sweetheart. You must be so relieved I didn't find out sooner. She froze. Glass halfway to her lips. Her face drained of color. Her boss looked between us, confused, then wary. He shifted uncomfortably. What are you doing here? She stammered, voice barely above a whisper. I stepped closer, voice calm, too calm. Watching. Listening. Piecing together all the nights you came home late. Smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. She swallowed hard. It's not what it looks like. I let out a bitter laugh. That's the best you've got. You're about to toast your promotion with a man you've been sneaking around with for months. And you expect me to believe it's innocent. Silence. Her boss, let's call him David, shifted again, looking anywhere but at me. And then I said the words that shattered her carefully constructed facade. You think I haven't known? You think I haven't seen the messages, the calls, the way you look at him? Her hand gripped the table, knuckles white. Please, she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. Not here. Oh no, sweetheart, I said, gesturing around the room. Here is perfect. You wanted to celebrate. Let's celebrate. Let's toast to your success, the kind that cost you your marriage. Mark put a hand on my shoulder, a silent warning. I exhaled, looked at her one last time, and then I walked away. She followed me outside. Wait, please, her voice shaky, desperate. Let's talk. I turned to face her, cold now. You want to talk. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I made a mistake. I laughed bitterly. A mistake. Spilling coffee on your shirt is a mistake. Sleeping with your boss for months. That's a choice. She broke then, sobbing, begging, swearing it didn't mean anything, that she still loved me, that we could fix this. I wanted to believe her. God, I did. But trust, once it's gone, doesn't come back. You made your choice, I said, voice steady. Now live with it. Then I got in my car and drove away. That was 6 months ago. The divorce is nearly final. She tried fighting it at first, tried convincing me to go to counseling to rebuild what was broken. But there was nothing left to fix. She lost her job too. Turns out, the company doesn't tolerate affairs between employees and management. David. He moved on to someone else. Of course he did. And me. I'm okay. Took time, but I'm okay. There's something freeing about walking away from a lie. About choosing yourself over someone who never chose you. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. The truth has a way of finding you. You can ignore it. Pretend it's not there. But one day, it stands up in the middle of a crowded room and forces you to face it. And when that moment comes, there's no going back.